Hey everybody, Brent here. Welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to be playing the Semi-Slav, and we're playing the London. Let's play it like a proper Semi-Slav. Try to get something interesting. And we're going to be playing essentially a reverse London without the bishop out of the pawn chain. Yeah, we'll continue on as normal. So one of the things about the London, though, is you kind of want to trade one of the bishops off, but not really the other. Since we have this bishop here on c8 instead of f5, we're kind of, hurting ourselves here a little bit. But we're probably going to want to trade off one bishop to relieve a little bit of the space going on here. We could also try this move, queen b6. Where if queen b3, you can consider taking, but I'm just going to go bishop d6 and just play this a little bit slow. So our opponent kind of wants to be interesting. We don't want to play knight d7. There's always knight f7 trickies in the air. And yeah, this is kind of what we're hoping for, is that they overextend. So they've overextended a little bit, and we're going to have to try to prove that they've overextended. And we're going to do that by playing moves like knight d7, eventually taking. They're trying to get knight f3 in time. We could also try b6 here, or a5, as long as we can fight for a6. But I'm just going to go knight d7. I imagine knight f3 is going to be played, and it isn't played. Interesting. So they're trying to go for some sort of like bishop takes h7 and some sort of sacrifice. So I'm just going to try and prevent that for the move. With h6. Is h6 necessary, though? Maybe I should just take anyways. No. Okay, so there's either g6 or h6. The more I'm thinking about it, I think I should play something like h6 or g6. I was also thinking g6 because I thought maybe that's a little bit more pleasant, but just going for this instead. They're really trying to go in, all in. But I'm not sure how good this one is. So we'll just take it. If they take with the pawn, then knight d7. And I imagine what they're going to do here is they're going to play some sort of queen g3. Defends the pawn, but I think we're okay as long as we're slightly accurate here. Let's start with king h8. Now we're attacking this c5 pawn. If they go b4, could be a way to defend it. We don't want to go f6 or something. That looks maybe okay at first until we see the queen g6 stuff is kind of popping up. So it's not really anything we want to do. Now they're just giving us the pawn for free. And we do want to take it. And we also want to play knight e4 if we get the chance. So there's also bishop a5 check. So if we can kind of make their king just a little bit worse, that would help us. Let's throw this move in. Doesn't hurt. At least not that I see. And then something like knight to e4, blocking some of their pieces off from the attack, is going to be extremely helpful. Yeah, so knight to e4. It also has the added benefit now of if they take, I can take with check. And if knight d4, there's c5. And also, if they move to h3, which originally they had, they no longer have it because knight f2 is playable. So, yeah, I think king d1 was definitely not the right way. They should have gone king f1 or king e2 to defend the f2 square. Now I can see them running into some problems. And of course, if queen h4, we're extremely happy with some sort of exchange, and we take f2 and just win the rook in the corner. So there's a bunch of things wrong with their approach here. That was loud. Okay. Again, it's just really nice that we do have the ability to just win this night. I do think that solves a lot of problems for us. Yeah, so they're going to go into it and just give the piece up. But we actually have something even better here. Sometimes when you want to take a piece, you just look for better. And here we actually have queen to d3 with checkmate. So let's go over the game a little bit. there's probably some small improvements we can make on that opening. Generally, again, you want to play c5 against bishop f4. Since I'm trying to stay into some sort of semi-Slav, I'm being a bit annoying with it, like kind of treating it like a system opening when it's really not. I know, I've gotten some comments earlier on previous parts where if I play something like c5, it's not really a semi-Slav. So I'm trying to stay true to that idea and just try to play a normal semi-Slav setup and see how it fares against the London. And as you can see, it did okay. It's not really the greatest. Like, if you had the bishop on f5, then there's no problems. But this bishop can be a little passive. So, regardless, I think we got a good position, and c5 is a step in the wrong direction for my opponent. And things felt good here. So I was thinking of taking, but I wasn't really sure about the consequences. Now, h6 is probably not the right call, but I just didn't really believe in any of this stuff after knight d7. There's no sacrifices. If they're, knight was on f3 already, maybe knight g5 check is playable, but here there's just no such thing. Queen h5 check, and then like knight f3. They're simply too slow. f6 already is kind of saving the game for us. Because after they take, we can just take with the knight and kick them away, and yeah, everything is totally fine here. After takes, I wonder if there's also bishop takes f4. Nah, it's just best to just take immediately. You're attacking the queen as well, so this trade's inevitable. The queen moves away, and you can also just throw this check in, which is not actually that fun to deal with. It's pretty telling that Queen e5 is the best move. Anyways, yeah, so all that matters is the sacrifice doesn't work, but I wanted to just avoid the possibility of it anyways. Yeah, so I was expecting knight df3. I think this is the strongest move, trying to cover e5 as much as possible, and this is where I was looking at taking it. And after taking, let's just say knight takes, I'll bring this knight to d7 and kind of just reinitiate the exact same thing over again. So if they take, they can. And we can even go into this position where it looks like we have a bad bishop versus a good bishop, but the truth is it's a little bit more complex than that, because we have b6 and e5 in order to get this bishop out. So it might not look pleasant at first, especially after you see something like f4 specifically, but I think it's fine. We just play b6, and we can remaneuver the bishop to something like a6. It also just helps prevent f5, which isn't that bad. So the computer says it's about equal here, and I would actually agree with it, despite this bishop, again, looking a little silly. So going back to things, queen f3, now they can't maintain the stronghold on e5, and yeah, I was wondering if knight takes c5 immediately worked, something like this, but there's actually, wow, bishop takes e5 here. That I missed. I was thinking of knight takes d3, but bishop takes e5 works. Defending the pawn, and now we're ready to take. So the problem is takes, there's knight takes d3. So that's phenomenal. But yeah, king h8, knight to f3, and now we just take c5, and also throw in this little check here, and it's not so obvious to deal with. Yeah, again, king f1 or king e2 are the automatic moves. It says king e2 is much worse than king f1, and I think it has to do again with the fact that there's queen d3 problems whenever you give this check, because there's no king g1 in this position, kind of like the game, right? So king d1, and then here there's queen d3 mate. So just imagine this position, but it's white to move, and they play something like knight d4 or knight anywhere or whatever. The problem is there's still this mate being threatened. And they're not in time to throw in moves like rook d1, because this comes with check, which is really, really annoying. But yeah, that's kind of it for the game. I hope you guys enjoyed. It was a bit of a short one, but still really relevant to see how you can still play these semi-Slav positions against other things, whether it's a London or even if they're playing some sort of like b3 setup or whatever. It doesn't really matter, because essentially it's just a reverse London with the bishop in the pawn chain. So that's a Collie system. That's what they call it, I believe. So you're playing a reverse Collie system, which is just the Semi-Slav. So yeah, very effective, very useful, and very good. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye-bye.